I'm Frederick Gerten, and I'm the filmmaker.
And I'm Leilani Farha, and I'm the advocate.
And this is Pushback Talks Summer Special, where we play with words, me and Leilani, and we call it Word Food. Leilani, are you ready?
I feel like I'm on a game show.
You are.
I'm ready.
Let's go. No words.
That's what you want me to talk about. No words.
Yeah.
Well, it's really interesting. Of course, for me, that started to appear, those two words, no words, started to appear about 6 months after October 7, 2023, when things in Gaza just started seeming out of control and so horrific. Everyone around me was saying no words. I would greet people and how are you? And people would just say no words. And I think at that time, we didn't realize that this was a bottomless pit. So the no words then, like, where are we now? If there were no words, however, 12 months ago, where are we now?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I think I saw a protest somewhere in the U.S. Where women were marched like in red dresses, like the Handmaid's Tale women, with only some solemn music but no words. I think maybe that's right. It's where people feel right now. Okay, we have to take the streets, we have to be out, we have to meet each other, but there are no more words.
I really like that. I really like that, Frederick.
Yeah, because also silence can express a lot in some ways if we do it in an organized way.
Absolutely. And the idea of maybe taking action and using our bodies, that's what people have been doing in so many different ways, right? Mm-hmm. Using their bodies, not just on the streets protesting, but like doing these physical protests. I've seen them in Northern Europe, where people are lying. I saw it in Copenhagen, people lying on the ground to represent the dead. Really interesting. So no words, but we'll express ourselves through our bodies.
Yeah, because I see there is a debate, how can you call Donald Trump a fascist? I mean, if the scientific definition of a fascist, and all of that is, of course, a valid debate. But in the end, to call somebody authoritarian or a fascist or whatever, it becomes a bit meaningless. But I mean, on the other hand, Leilani, our work and our skills sometimes is also in language. How do we describe things? But you found your way by using your professional language as a lawyer.
Yeah, that's true. And I have an insistence of using my language. I was at a meeting yesterday where there wasn't enough of my language, and I just kept insisting, human rights, human rights, human rights. Even in this very fraught time when human rights have very little currency. But one of the things I've been saying about the situation in Gaza, and now potentially Iran and Lebanon and Syria, etc., is maybe we need to develop a new language, literally new language to describe what's happening, to help ourselves understand what's happening. I don't know.
I actually think that is really important. Many people have a tendency of getting stuck in old language. And when the old language is not there anymore, you can use it by shouting it or be louder and louder. But in the end, it doesn't really serve the purpose. So I think we have to invent a new language, also for the things we want to achieve, not only what we don't like, you know.
Right.
So,
yeah, I like
so it's
that
also,
too.
So we need to be sharper also about our dreams and our ambitions.
Yeah, finding language for our vision, and I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
I'm going to throw a word at you.
Yeah, you have to.
You ready?
No.
Water.
Water, it's summer, so when I go into the water, I You know, it's like the water hugs me, you know, from all directions. It's like it's a very deep hug. When I get out of the water, I can feel a big difference in my mind. It's kind of magic. Water is magic. But then, of course, when I shot my last film, Breaking Social, we shot up in a river in the north of Chile, and there was no water. The water was gone to the monocultures and to the mining activities. And the native people who've been living by that river for at least documented 500 years, and they were small farmers, they had no water. So water can also be extremely political. And I guess also, if we talk about the Middle East, but we shouldn't, I mean, we do that sometimes. Water is something, isn't
Used
it?
as a weapon of war, used as a weapon of apartheid historically. Who gets water, how much, rationing of water. Absolutely, colonial use of water. I mean, it's like any other resource, I suppose.
And then I was reading about a Swiss village that got wiped away by a glacier falling down
Yeah,
because of climate change.
yeah.
The glaciers are
Melting.
So water can also tell us a story. And of course, then there is a crisis. So cities also around here, they are talking about how are we going to protect our city from the rising sea levels.
I was in Valencia recently. They had those terrible, terrible floods. And you hear about there are island nations that have disappeared and are disappearing due to rising sea levels, climate change. And where do all these people go? And who's doing anything about climate change?
Well, not the people in power. Now I need to sip of
Now
water.
you're going to sip some water. Nourishing.
I like water. It's one of the best drinks you can have.
It absolutely is. And, you know, it's related to so many things. Lots of times when I'm yawning a lot, like, but am I really tired? And then if I drink a glass of water, I stop yawning. Or headaches. They say like 90% of headaches can be chased away with a big glass of water.
Yeah. And then, you know, my way of trying to stay fit is to go to this hot yoga. And there's certainly a water relation because I sweat like 2 or 3 liters per time.
Exactly.
And sometimes I forget to drink enough. So I really get so sleepy when I lost a lot of water.
Yeah. Interesting.
But then when you're out in desert region, you can see people who go around with very little water. So it's obviously something you can train your body to.
I suppose.
But
they say, I mean, there are many studies, and it's definitive that being by water, you know, walking along the water, swimming, having access to lakes and rivers and sea, oceans is very good for the soul, very good for
I think so.
for mental health.
25 years ago, it's actually the anniversary now. We made a film called Walking on Water. And it was about the building of the bridge between Malmö and Copenhagen.
Right,
So
right.
when we shot that film, we were out on the water a lot. You know,
Wow.
morning with the workers going out. And, you know, it was like, it's nice to be. And when I was really young, I worked as a beer man on a ferry between Malmö and Copenhagen. And I served beer and carried beer from the port into the ship. I was also water, but people got really drunk of that water, so a bit different.
When I was young, I worked on Toronto Island for a summer. It was one of the best jobs I've ever had, still to date. And I had to take this little ferry across Lake Ontario from the shore of Toronto to this island, Center Island it's called. It was pretty nice. It was a nice way to spend my summers.
It is. To commute by ferry is very different to commute by bus.
Very different. Yes.
And in many cities like Copenhagen, Stockholm, and others, and many, many more, of course, you go to Venice or Istanbul, you commute by ferry. It's beautiful.
Very nice.
You can do that in New York City also.
That's
Actually.
right.
That's cool. So that was like 2 words, and we are rolling. Leilani, enjoy your summer.
Thanks. Enjoy your swim.
Thanks.
Frederick, your word is dancing.
Dancing in the dark. Isn't it? Dancing in the dark. Dancing. When I was young, it was like an era of a lot of like traditional jazz. So we danced a lot. And I remember a party, maybe I was only 18. I danced so much and my socks were like there was nothing left by the feet. I can still remember that feeling of very fun dancing, and I'm trying to keep it up. But I must admit that I'm very much that kind of dancer who like to keep my partner close, to move together, and so this kind of rave dance where you dance with yourself. It hasn't been my thing, really.
Not your jam.
Not totally, but I can also go crazy dancing.
Right.
So dance is important.
Yeah,
And,
it's my total happy place is dancing. I've used it for many reasons to lift the mood.
and then as I've been a lot in Latin America, and you go to Mexico City or to many other cities around Mexico or Chile or wherever you go, people gather on the squares. The old colonial cities still have the Spanish structure of having a square.
Yes. Yes.
It's not a strip. It's actually a place built for people to gather.
Yes. So lovely.
In many countries, they also use that square to dance. So somebody brings a speaker and they dance. So in Argentina, it could be tango. But also here in Malmö, by the sea, there are people dancing tango or salsa by the sea.
So nice.
And it's so beautiful just to see people dance. It's the beauty of human connections. It's everything what we love with humanity. You see when people dance.
Absolutely.
It's like the total opposite. I mean, when you see Trump make dance moves, it's the opposite of love in dancing.
Absolutely. I remember one of the first city visits I did when I was the UN Special Rapporteur on housing. I went to Detroit, and I was investigating with the Special Rapporteur on the right to water. The city was shutting off people's water. And Detroit is made up of a lot of African-American families, many of them very poor, and they were living with no water in their homes. And it was a devastating visit, very bleak, horrible circumstances that people were living in. And at the end of this visit, it was several days, they took us to a community center where they were eating like fried chicken and all sorts of foods, potato salads. And Detroit, right? It's like the city of music. They put on this music and everyone started to dance. And they invited me and the other special rapporteur up to dance. And we didn't know, it was like synchronized dancing. They were doing these like full-on real dances. And we didn't know what we were doing, but they had a way of shadowing you and whispering in your ear, turn left, move your foot right. It was amazing. So we could actually join the dancing. It was one of the most kind of jubilant moments after such heartache, seeing such heartache. And then for the whole community to come together, it was amazing.
Yeah, I actually think that the dancing is also one of these things that can change your mood, from being depressed and everything is shit. And then suddenly you start to move your ass and it works.
So true.
You can see it's like the adrenaline coming in. Something happens that makes you smile suddenly.
Absolutely.
So people out there, let's dance this summer.
Get up and dance.
And dance against fascism and dance against stupidity, dance against horror,
Yeah.
So I guess that's what we're going to do this summer. But Leilani, it's my time to give you a word or a few words. From dance to supply chain.
Oh my God. Wow. Well, everyone should listen to this amazing podcast we did with Peter S. Goodman, the global economic correspondent for the New York Times. He's written an amazing book about supply chains. To be honest, I when I hear those words, supply chain, I feel really depressed. Those are like boring words to me, supply chain. But then you read Peter S. Goodman's book and it's like fascinating. So when I think about supply chains, I think first and foremost about COVID, another very boring word, a very depressing time in the world history, when supply chains were completely disrupted and shelves started to become bare, and we all had to learn why that is. And there's this concept now that most businesses only, what's that? Oh, I can't even remember. There's a name for it, but where businesses only stock what they think they can sell quickly and immediately. And because of that, and because of all the slowdown with supply chain, we ended up with bare shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember a lot.
Really? I thought that was pretty lame in my opinion.
Yeah. We will ask Peter to come in and correct.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. But also, I mean, we're at a time right now where all this tariff talk is happening, and President Trump is pushing back against globalization and the way in which the world's economies have been working. And he's not recognizing that we have created a world economy based on these supply chains. And if you start putting all these tariffs, then it completely disrupts all of the way in which the world's economy works and individual countries' economies work.
But of course, we've been talking before about, the importance of buying local and to let the money circulate in your community.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't go and have coffee at the Starbucks. You should go to a locally owned coffee shop. I think it's always important to remember. Mm-hmm. At the same time, people around the world who are buying our goods also have the right to produce stuff that we buy. So it's there is a balance, and if that should work, we need, of course, fair trade, a fair trade system, and we also need a fair supply chain. Because what Peter shows us in his book is that the big players are now controlling the shipping, and they're also the small business, they don't get access to the containers anymore. So it is, again, a world where the big guys are taking all the benefits of the system. And so a fair supply chain is also something that governments around the world should work for. Mm-hmm. And then you need to take down the monopolies and break down the monopolies who are now one big Danish company, Maersk, some Chinese, some Americans. And it's very few companies who dominate the whole shipping industry around the world. Yeah. And they're also not paying the sailors, they're not paying the truck drivers. So it's like a way of, that's what Peter shows very clearly in his book, that everybody who is working in the supply chain have much worse conditions now than it was 20, 30 years ago. Yeah. A huge difference. So it's also where the shippers, these companies make more money than ever, but their workers make less money than ever. So it's, again, a reflection on where we all have landed. So there's a lot to do. You
know a lot about supply chains, Frederick. You're a good student, too.
I read a freaking book, and I listened to the podcast. Exactly. Listen to the podcast, please.
Exactly. And Peter's book, which I actually can't remember the title of.
How the World Ran Out of Everything.
Oh, How the World Ran Out of Everything. There we go. So good at giving examples, and he follows this kind of small business owner who has everything made in China, some kind of, I can't remember what it was. It was some kind of toy that he and his wife, I think, had invented, and just the toils and tribulations of trying to get this toy to market in time for Christmas, which would be his biggest time to sell this product. And really interesting. And I will just say one more thing. I said that I find supply chain, those words, boring. But when you really start thinking about the fact that so many of the things that we consume and use on a daily basis come from these shipping containers, never dawns on me. So it's pretty interesting. Supply chains.
It is interesting.
The world order.
It's a worldly world food we are doing here, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Leilani. Talk next week.
We will.
Choo-hoo.
Bye.
Are you ready to go?
I'm ready. Another word. Oh, my gosh.
Remake. Or even everything with re. But remake.
My God.
Remake.
Remake.
Yeah.
Is that a word? Okay. No words. Really, that's not a word that really drums up a lot for me. I think to be honest, when I hear the word remake, it's like I think of television shows or movies. It's a remake of.
You see, there is a word. Yeah.
There is a word.
Yeah.
And normally it's pretty depressing because normally it's Americans remaking some really good, what they call foreign film or, show from another place. I suppose that then suggests a kind of negative aspect to remaking, which is what was wrong with the original. Do things really need to be remade? Questionable.
What would you like to remake, Leilani?
Oh, I'd like to remake my career. How about that?
You see? A remake.
Let's start there.
Yeah, you will become a remake-up artist.
That's right. I do need a remake-up artist, actually, now that I'm well into my 50s. But you know what else remake makes me think of? It kind of dovetails with the situation we're in with this very precarious planet. The fact that we are killing the planet. The planet is in its most fragile state ever. And the need to remake out of old things rather than building new things. And I guess that's like reuse, recycle, but it's also in the housing world where we're really having a lot of conversations about not building as the only solution to the housing crisis, but also taking what we have and redoing it and remaking it and refashioning it into affordable housing for those who need it. So that's about as far as I can take remake, Frederick.
But then you can take the make out of re, and you can make a revolution or a revelation or.
You want all the re's?
No,
right.
no. If you want, you can go re-crazy. Recreative.
Recreate is nice.
Yeah, recreate. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you see.
Rejuvenate.
Rejuvenate, yeah.
That's nice too. Refurbish.
Restart.
Restart. Yeah. Retrofit, except it's retrofit. It's big in Europe. Retrofitting all the buildings to make them more efficient.
But the good thing with this remake word is that you now can pull a restart on me.
Okay, we're going to restart the word.
Yes.
The word salad. I think that's what we should call it. Instead of word food, word salad.
Well,
okay.
We can always remake the titles, no worries.
Okay. Are you ready? How about the word sleep?
Oh, sleep, schlafen, dormir, dormire. Yeah. It's nice. I mean, I might be slightly better than you in sleeping because you're a lousy one, I know. But whenever I get a good night's sleep, I really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing. I'm a little bit too restless to sleep on daytime or sleep on trains or cars or whatever. I'm always looking around and my brain is going. And I don't sleep during films. But I can put on a little podcast to fall asleep sometimes.
But not ours.
No.
Pushback
No.
Talks is far too lively.
But
Yeah.
then sleep is, of course, we have a train here to Copenhagen, which I take mostly when I go to the airport in Copenhagen. And when you travel at early hours, you can see working people going to very early jobs or coming back from night shifts. And you can see, the privilege we have who can sleep. And a lot of people don't have the privilege to sleep. And you can see it in their faces and on their bodies. It's like, in the end, it just becomes a part of their appearance that here are a group of people who are deprived of their right to sleep, So I think we should maybe talk about the right to sleep.
Well, that is very interesting, Frederick, because people in the United States, in particular, my colleagues, do talk about the right to sleep, because there are all these very horrible laws in the U.S. that cities are really enforcing, but even the Supreme Court has kind of endorsed through a case called Grants Pass. And those laws say that it is illegal to sleep. Well, they say that it's illegal to sleep on the streets, but homeless people don't have anywhere else to sleep. So in turn, they make it illegal to sleep, basically. And so this idea of the right to sleep is super important. And of course, sleep is absolutely necessary to staying alive. It's part of our functioning as human beings. And so the idea that you would deprive people of the right to sleep is to deprive them, of course, of a life-saving thing.
I also heard, and I learned from our podcast, that in the US, you can park your car overnight, but you're not allowed to sleep in your car.
Exactly.
So the car is okay, but not a person sleeping inside the car. And there was universities banning students from sleeping in their
That's
cars. Students who had no student homes.
Yeah, absolutely right. And there are now churches, for example, I went to one in San Diego, where they offer their parking lot overnight for homeless people to park their cars and sleep in their cars without being ticketed or towed or fined or whatever. Yeah, it's a cruel, cruel world. But I think too, of course, I think about the luxury of sleep, and if you're living in a war-torn place, of course, I think about Gaza, but also look at Sudan and all the displacement and people living in these horrible conditions and how difficult it must be to sleep. And I mean, I do think of Gaza because I'm seeing on Instagram, it's overnight often. There's all this bombing and
they have the drones constantly.
the drones. How do you sleep?
Yeah, how do you sleep when you have a drone hovering and you don't know if that drone will also carry a weapon?
Exactly.
Scary,
Exactly.
very scary.
Yeah,
So let's fight for the right to sleep
I'm with you.
for everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
Good night. Thanks. See you, Leilani.
That was perfect. Frederick, your word is democracy.
Democracia. It's interesting, democracy. Is this an empty word? Or is it something that is a really valid thing that we should talk about? Because it goes like in two directions. Because I guess that Putin also would call Russia a democratic. And I mean, in the old East Bloc countries, they call it the Democratic Republic of, Germany and so on. So sometimes it's kind of a cover up of something. And now when you see the development in the US where democracy is like going out, because the whole idea of that system of the three powers that could check each other is kind of going down because of that this administration don't really care about it. And then, of course, which I also talked about in my Breaking Social, is that democracy is at sale, you buy it with campaign money and with strategic communication. You buy the public agenda, and then in some ways you also end up with democracy. So democracy, I think, I mean, when we were out talking about push to audiences around the world, people always ask, so what is the solution? And I said, and I meant it, democracy. I mean, that's the only way we can go. And then we need democratic representatives who can take on the powerful, can create rules that are also the most powerful need to follow. So it's now we have a democracy where normal people need to follow the rules, but then if you're rich enough, you don't have to pay taxes, you don't have to follow the rules, because you can operate over all these different jurisdictions. I mean, and we see that in the housing style and in all this, the global financial scheme. And it's actually interesting. I think the pandemic showed in some way with the lockdowns that the super rich got very frustrated, and then they moved out to the yachts and they found their places, and so the super rich are already trying to find a way to kind of live outside of the world that the rest of us are living in.
When I am contemplating democracy these days, I'm just always struck at how fragile it is. It's amazing. I mean, it's so quickly and easily done away with, it seems to me, by governments. And it takes so much effort and energy to keep it alive. For those of us who care about it, which is most people, like if you look at the status of free expression right now, I mean, it's being clobbered in all across Western Europe, all across Eastern Europe, all across the United States, all across Canada, all across Asia, right? I don't know so much about what's happening in Africa around free expression, but it's amazing to me that just so quickly it can be illegal or almost illegal to protest a genocide. How is that possible? How is it possible? And just like that. And then for us to get it back, the right to protest, we have to go to court and spend money litigating, or we have to take to the streets more, or we have to be willing to be imprisoned, it's really amazing to me. Just, democracy is so very, very fragile. And
this experience that you are now reflecting on is very much a northern perspective in some ways, where we for a period had the space to speak out and to write and criticize and being complicated, as people would say. But of course, in Latin America, with all the Western supported dictatorships, people died and was tortured when they were speaking out. And the same goes for many African countries, and of course also in Southeast Asia and so on. So when we are now facing this, we are like probably getting into the same space as many of our friends in other countries has been into for a long time. So maybe it's also good. No, it's not good. It's not good at all, but it's good to understand that we are now fighting the same struggle as many other people are doing.
Yeah. I wonder what you think about the fact that it seems governments are not representing people anymore. That so many millions of people can be protesting about a thing, whether it's Gaza or something else, and yet they're taking all these decisions that just go counter to.
I think the big problem is actually, the politicians need to win elections, and that's become more important than governing well. So everything is about the next election, and then you have the money-flooded election campaigns with the talking points and the funders, the funders of the elections. they want you to go in one way. And if you go against the funders of the campaigns, you will not get any money. So in the end, the elections are about talking points. And I mean, the talking point could be anti-corruption, but it doesn't really deliver anti-corruption. I mean, it can be whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that's a big problem. And of course, I don't know exactly how to solve it. I mean, the best way was to kind of to control all the funding of elections or of political parties, to level it down to something that is reasonable. Because now elections is a huge industry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the biggest industries in the world is elections.
Yeah. Crazy.
And when you buy the service of winning an election, you buy into a scheme that is partly criminal. It's like because everything is okay as long as you win the election.
Yeah.
You can lie as much as you want, you can cheat, you can create stories that are not true, and you can make people talk about things that are not real. You shift the focus away. And I think if we want to protect our democracies, or we want to develop our democracy into real democracies, we need to be aware of those schemes, and we need to be aware of how they do it. And I mean, my film Breaking Social was partly made to kind of, okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about how they take over our democracy.
So everyone, if you care about democracy, go and watch Breaking Social.
Thank you, Leilani. No, is it me? It's me.
It's you.
Shooting at you. What will I shoot against you, my dear Leilani? Are you ready?
Don't shoot it, just send it.
And I will send you flowers.
I love flowers. I love receiving flowers. I love growing flowers. I love looking at flowers. I love smelling flowers. I love being amongst flowers or amidst flowers.
You're a flower yourself.
I am. In fact, my name, Leilani, means something like heavenly, beautiful flower, something like that. There you go. A lei, when you go to Hawaii, they put a lei around your neck. That's flowers. There you go.
I've never been to Hawaii. I've been invited twice and I could never go.
It's very far away from you.
Yeah, we were invited together last time for to show Push at the mayor's conference, and none of us could go. I'm still a bit sad about that, but it's true.
I've been, but only as a young child.
Yeah, far away.
Flowers are really important to me.
In San Francisco in 1967, they were singing, "Where have all the flowers gone?" Dun, dun,
long time passing.
You see where has all the flowers gone?
Yeah, where have all the young girls gone? Isn't that part of the song too? Let's leave that, Frederick, and let's just talk about a little bit more about flowers. So I, as a gift to my mother, every Christmas, I gift her a flower subscription. So I have sent to her every month a very beautiful bouquet of flowers. She also loves receiving flowers. And when she comes to my house on the weekends, she often brings me flowers. So it's for me, it's also this mother-daughter connection that's really lovely. She also has a green thumb. I have a bit of an indoor green thumb. We both love to grow plants. Some of which flower, although I am known to kill an orchid every so often.
I actually, this weekend I bought flowers to our backyard together with my neighbors, and we planted, and it looks really nice. But normally I live by a green market, so there is a flower stand or several flower stands, and I quite often buy flowers just to myself, especially in winter.
I do that too.
Because I think it's about the need of beauty, I think we can talk about housing and homes and city planning and all that, but it's also about beauty. I think people become, when you come to a beautiful place, you slow down. You might you just sit down on the bench. You watch people walking by. There is something with beauty that is so important, and in a city with flowers, it becomes a city where people can be gentler, and you will see more smiles. And when there's more smiles, there are also more human connection. So I think flowers is the shit.
The bomb.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with that. That's for sure. And when you think about parks in cities and how important they are and how people do commune, and I'm in London right now recording, and it is a city of such gorgeous parks and well cared for parks. And when people are living on top of each other in flats and really kind of crappy accommodation, the ability to go out and see beauty, as you say, and pause and breathe and then commune with other people, it's pretty nice, very special.
It's also democratic in some way, that everybody even if you're not rich, you live in a small apartment. If there are public spaces where you can breathe and be a human being, the city is giving something back to you. So more parks, more flowers. Long live.
Flower power.
Flower power. And all, the question, where have all the flowers gone? They've gone into this podcast.
How sweet. How sweet.
Pushback Talks goes flowers. Okay.
See you later, Frederick.
See you later, Leilani. And now I'm going to the word that is like on our minds all the time: pushback. Pushback.
Nice. Well, why did we name this podcast Pushback Talks? Pushing back is what we're kind of all about. Figuring out ways to, and we like interviewing people who are doing this too, figuring out ways to fight the inequalities that we are seeing everywhere, especially in our cities. And people are doing amazing things to claim their rights, claim space, to claim equality. They are pushing back. Things like taking to the streets. I really love a good protest, I have to say that. It's good on so many levels. Personally, it ends up being good. You get to yell and scream and chant or dance and sing and all sorts of things. You meet cool people, always.
It's quite often a good vibe at protests. People, there are many smiles because I think it is very much about doing something together with others,
Yeah.
That it's easier to meet a complicated, cruel world when you do it together. I found an initiative here in Sweden called Doc Lounge, which is like a documentary film club, but we don't show it in cinemas, so it's more in a club or environment where people also can have a glass of wine. And so I think, for example, to watch a documentary, which are quite often about tough stuff, when you watch it together with other people, you don't get so depressed because in some way you can feel the heartbeat of the person sitting close to you. Yeah. You listen to the breathing, or you can hear the tears coming out, or the emotions. And when you do that as a group, you feel much better. So then you are more ready to push back.
I agree with that.
And I think another aspect of pushback is that when we focus so much on, and Trump especially is extremely good at grabbing the attention. He and his friend Netanyahu are extremely good at grabbing our attention and make us angry and sad and scared. I think it's important for us to also try to focus and look around and see people pushing back. And then, of course, it could be in many different, but I think we should always have on our mind people who are doing cool stuff, and to be inspired by them and support people and say, wow, cool that you're doing this. And that could be a neighborhood initiative. It could be something very local. But I think it's something that gives people strength and, you know, to make it easier to go about life.
Well, and certainly in my work, it's so easy to just dwell in all the problems. But then when I start thinking about, and this is what you're saying, when I start thinking about all the pushing back people are doing, including myself and my organization, it does make me think, wait a second, we have some power. We still have some power, even if we're being trampled on or other people are being trampled on. And when you engage in the pushback, it's very rare that you're actually alone in it. Right? Not just a street protest, but even if I pick up the phone to call a politician and say, I don't think you're doing your job and you're not representing my interests or the interests of this group of people, what I'll find is if I mention this to some friends or colleagues, they're like, I did the same thing. I also called. Or they say, oh, I'm going to call. And so there's something really nice about the idea of pushing back, but it's never alone. It's always in good company. You're always in good company.
Yeah, and also I think also we should remember that what we see now on the global scale is some kind of backlash. I mean, Trump and his MAGA gang, the gangsters of MAGA, they are pushing back what we have been successful with. Women's rights, LGBTI rights, better understanding of native people's rights and Afro-Americans and Latinos in the US. I mean, globally, overall, you know, we moved things long way and now they're pushing back. So we should also remember that they are attacking our success, you know. So it's also about seeing that we are actually protecting what we've won. You know, and of course they want to kick us back. But I think overall, within most people around the planet, everybody knows that climate change is happening. Everybody knows that women should have the same right as men. And most people are totally okay with trans people or gay people. You know, it's like, come on. I mean, the kids love the trans people dancing, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you know, it's so silly. So remember that what we stand for is actually something totally fucking normal, you know. But to push back is also to stand up for what we think is normal. You know?
Absolutely.
So you don't need to be very radical to push back.
No.
You know.
And I was just thinking, there's so many ways to push back. Like we've talked about street protests, but this little podcast is a way that we are trying to push back. Or there's, of course, other things like litigation, and there's calling your politicians or doing a media campaign or making a documentary or 5. It's amazing. In fact, there are so many ways to protect
but I mean, my bottom line is that everybody can push back in their own way.
That's right.
At work.
Exactly.
By being a decent person, you know, by standing up for other people's rights, you know. It's not that radical. It's just just to be a good person.
Yeah.
And it's in some way it's easier because the enemies we have in our history are now so bluntly evil. So honestly evil, you know. They don't feel any shame.
Yeah. But isn't that interesting that just being kind is a way of pushing back right now?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of mind-blowing, Frederick.
But I like it. So be kind and kiss your loved one, your kids, hug your friends. Oh, you can kiss your friends too. And invite them to sit down with you and have a coffee and talk about life and talk about pushback talks. Tell them about Pushback Talks. That's our podcast. It's over to you.
I'm going to send you a word. I have to think of one. Money.
Money, money, money. Make the rich man's world. Yeah, that's like ABBA.
It is.
Money, it's a way, it's a practical way to exchange things with people.
Sensible, yeah.
It's a smart way of solving things in some ways. But of course, it seems like money has been grabbed by some people. And maybe it's always been, of course. The extremely wealthy has always been extremely wealthy and always lived very far away from the rest of us. So it's nothing new in that sense. But the love for money makes something with people. And it's interesting that a lot of people who become really rich, they become rich because they really want to become rich. They are so interested in money. So they would never go for an artistic career or something like that.
Yeah.
Or something stupid. They would never become a human rights lawyer, So it's almost like, in some way, a choice. Of course, not everybody can choose it. It's much easier if you already have money. So if you come from wealth, it's quite probable that you can stay wealthy. So wealth is like, it's kind of inherited. Most money is inherited. And in a country like Sweden, you can trace it back hundreds of years.
I can imagine.
To families who once got some land by the king because they fought in a war somewhere, or so it's like it's basically at one time stolen from people. I mean, I go to Russia, the oligarchs, they got rich because they stole wealth from the country. And Trump he came from money. So I mean, you can see that a lot, but also this, like, a love of money is very important, and then you can do whatever to get there.
And money seems to beget money. The more money you have, the more money you can get. The more money you have, the more money you can get.
Yeah,
and it goes on and on.
It's also the silliness of who has most, who's the richest person on the planet, who is the blah, blah, blah. And that's important. For some people, it's important to be that one, And they already have more money that they can spend forever, So it's not about, I need to buy a new yacht, because they can already buy 10, So it's a very silly game. And I think it's interesting when I meet super rich people, I find out that they don't read many books. They don't watch many films. They are not really interesting.
Right.
I mean, would you think you would have an interesting conversation with Elon Musk?
Oh, God.
No, but I mean, honestly.
Conversation. I don't even think he's capable of a conversation.
Well, I think that's because the idea is that I'm so smart, so I actually get so rich. But then the smartness in some way is like, it's very shallow. It's very directed towards kind of how to make money. And of course, they're really creative in this way of making money.
There are studies that show that people who have money think that they're better than other people simply because they have money. There's a famous research that was done, I think, out of Harvard or one of those schools, using Monopoly, the game of Monopoly. And they gave, a couple of people all the money, like a lot of money to start the game with. And then some of the players had no money. And then when the players with all the money won the game, they talked about themselves as having been so smart and strategic, and like they were really like the best player, when really they just had all the money, right?
Yeah, and that's interesting because it's, even if you have all the money, you still have to act, you still have to do something. So you can get the feeling of that you're actually moving in the right way to make things happening for you.
Yeah.
And so of course they also struggle, but they have very poor abilities to understand how other people struggle, people who don't have any money at all. But of course, I mean, it's easy to agree that money has replaced God in many ways. And that is a problem. So we should make money less important. And of course, it's not a problem if somebody's done something amazing. An artist made a hit that sells a lot of records, and I'm not against people making money. You know, it's like that's not a thing. But we've talked about that, and your friend Mazzucato, you know, the Italian-American writer, Mariana, yeah. She says that almost all successful companies on the planet to make money, they base their wealth on public-funded research. You know, so
exactly.
So I mean, we can now see when Trump is trying to take away funds to Harvard. So okay, a lot of the success stories coming out of Harvard and then starting up to become big corporations have all been funded by public money in the beginning, and that goes certainly for a country like Sweden or the UK or France or whatever.
Yeah.
The public money is more willing to take risks.
Yeah.
And then, of course, then if you have loads of money, please share. You know, please share. Pay your taxes.
Pay your taxes.
And there is actually a movement now of millionaires and billionaires who want to pay taxes. And a salute to them.
Yeah. Speaking of money, I have to run to a meeting with one of the Shifts, my organization's funders. So
money.
Money. And hey, how do we fund this podcast? We don't have any money. We can talk about that later.
We can talk about Leilani, I wish you tons of money to the Shift and to your work, because it's very important. So let's go money, and see you soon.
Bye, Frederick.
Bye.
See ya. So if you like our podcast, you have to let us know. Please send us comments, rate us. I think that helps promote the podcast. Tell your friends about us. We need more listeners, and we need a little bit of love too. Love can come in the form of money. If you want to give us a little money every month, you can go to patreon.com, look for Pushback Talks. Every euro, every pound, every dollar buys Frederick a cortado. No, it helps us produce the podcast. Otherwise,
that's great.
We do it for free.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Pushback Talks is produced by WG Film. To support the podcast, become a patron by going to patreon.com/pushbacktalks. Follow us on social media at make_the_shift and push_the_film. Or check out our websites, maketheshift.org, pushthefilm.com, or breakingsocialfilm.com.